Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is in your hood. I am absolutely Adia.
It's your girl Ashley Nicole. Also speak volumes Nicole.
Yeah, it's the franchise. I'm in the building.
And we are the Quad.
We are the Quad, and we have some very, very special guests in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a little personal. I know this dude for some time now. We got a lot of ties. He does a lot of things that align with my philosophy about just life and community and everything else.
Yeah.
My man Q Phillips in the building. He's got a long list of credentials that I'm going to get to in a second. Got my man Derek, who's with him, who also is a co-founder of the CommUNITY Frontline organization. And they do some, you're talking about, some major, major things in the community. I'm not overstating this. Q has also been, really into multiculturalism and cultural competency for the last 20 years.
20 sounds good.
20 sounds. He's been,
Right on.
Right.
Look, he's a juvenile probation officer supervising in the area that he lives in. You know what I'm saying? He's all about community and being a resource for his community, not necessarily moving out of the hood, but staying in the hood and being a resource for the community.
Yerp.
He is a trainer. He's got businesses. He's a consultant. He's a co-founder of this Frontline. Look, listen.
Accolades.
I don't want to take up too much time and talk about your accolades.
Yeah.
But I need to get into this, man. I need to get into this.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, just really a synopsis. I got 3 pages of credentials here, but tell me who Q Phillips is.
Man, first of all, that made me feel good. Thank you. It really did. Yeah. And appreciate the opportunity, y'all, seriously, for being here. It really is an honor. As far as synopsis of Q Phillips, man, prayerfully, I hope everyone would say that I am a servant, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about. I teach my sons all the time that the definition of a man is a male who acts, thinks, and lives responsibly and submits to something greater than himself. And I'm hoping that I'm one of those people that submit to something greater than myself, man. So just a hood boy, man, who went through a lot, who's made some moniker of success of myself. So if I'm going to do that, then I owe it back to the people that made me.
Exactly.
That's right.
From the 6, I got to get back to the 6.
From the 6.
So.
Stop 6.
Stop 6.
Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Fort Worth,
Funky
Texas.
Town.
Right?
Funky Town, Texas.
So I'm a servant, man. So, I know you got the bio, got all these credentials.
Right.
None of that means nothing, man, if people don't feel helped in what you're doing. So
True.
It really is all about being a servant, man. So getting to collaborate with my brothers, man, and we were able to create CommUNITY Frontline, which really honed in and allowed us to have a real vehicle for all this service. So stuff we were doing sporadically, and we had no true organization to it until we was able to make Frontline happen. And now the ship is going in one direction finally. So
Right
All right.
Awesome.
So we got my man Derek in the building. Derek is here with you.
Hey.
Derek, tell us a little bit about you. I can get into your bio, but I really want to hear your voice on the microphone, man.
Okay. I like it. It's deeper in the microphone.
Get your little side job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm from East Texas, then got to Fort Worth by way of Tennessee, Memphis for a little in between, and somewhere in that journey I got kind of wrecked and became passionate about issues of racial justice and solidarity and multiculturalism and things like that. And I met Quentin Q here.
Q.
Here once I moved to Fort Worth, and the irony of it is that I'm not a smooth white boy. I'm not like the kind of white boy that's like, I'm not Robin Thicke.
You're not like Spider. You're not like Spider.
Shout out to Spider in the booth.
Yeah. I'm Phil Dunphy if you watch Modern Family.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that I'm passionate about these things and that Quentin embraced me, and I've since then made a lot of friends across racial lines and had made a few before that had helped impact me. So I'm a lawyer by trade.
Right.
Okay.
And I've got 2 kids and a wife that are all equally excited about people that look differently than them.
Yeah, I love it.
Although the kids are 3 years and 3 months, so they don't know exactly what that means. But
Okay.
that's the beauty of it, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the facts, I guess, on me.
Very good.
Yeah, and so
very
Derek
good.
can't say this about himself, so I always make sure I say it for him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
I call him the wokest white man in America.
The woke.
Yeah.
This is the wokest white
Alright,
man.
can't clap
Trust
for
me.
that.
That's how he became
Right.
family. Like when I tell you Derek, true to himself and yet still true to others. You know what I mean? So not trying to be something he's not,
Right.
yet understanding the plight of others and willing to dive in Wokest white man in America. I gave him that
Yeah.
title. So.
But that was my
So that's
question
dope.
for you. Reading your bio, going
Right.
from litigation attorney by day to community frontline, what sparked that change in you, or what sparked the passion for you to commit to such a big task?
Sure. So, community frontline, we're not aligned with a particular religion. Anybody's welcome. Anybody can get down with that. But my personal convictions are I'm a Christian, and so those faith convictions drive a lot of my perspective. Like that, things like everybody's made in the image of God. Everybody's worthy of dignity and respect. Things like that. And then, so I already had sort of a faith background. When I was in Memphis, it sort of connected. And for me, and clicked and showed that you can't just worship God. You have to that compels a response among your brothers, and your sisters. Yeah.
Right.
And so the I guess the framework was in place as far as in Fort Worth. It's just a matter of I met these guys. I met Clinton in February 2011. So we've known each other a long 7 years now. We just had sort of been doing things informally, relationally. And we just want to have I just want to have a holistic approach. So, we want to. So we're not going to just go. So we moved to East Fort Worth, and
Okay.
we just it's about being with family and loving your own community and being a part of the community. It's just I don't know how to do it if you just kind of add it to your to-do list and go over there every once in a while. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how you have time for one, and I don't know how you do it effectively. Like, in other words, where you go eat lunch. It all fits together, the business you support when you eat. Like I think that's the only way you can have time to do, to make money and then also do things in addition.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to ask you about that because I know I'm a little older than most of the people in the room, but growing up,
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
tad.
A little more seasoned. But just growing up, it was more about, getting your high school diploma, whatever. We're getting your high school diploma, getting your college degree, and then moving out of the hood or whatever.
Right.
But I think that as I've gotten older, and some of the people that we know together, Mr. Jacinto, to be an example, yourself, it's more about keeping the resources or being a resource in the community. You know what I'm saying? And Derek just spoke about that as well. How much of that is a driving force for the mission that you guys have for Community Frontline?
Man, it is one of the pivotal driving forces, man. And so, and part of that being graduate from Dunbar High School, go Wildcats. When we graduate from Dunbar High School, when I was growing up, man, I literally knew more people that were in prison or had been to prison than people who had college degrees growing up in my neighborhood. And so that's one of those things that just sit right with me, particularly now having the opportunity to go get educated myself at Prairie View A&M University. Go Panthers, greatest HBCU in the world.
Greatest in the world.
The greatest in the world.
Okay.
Somebody they try to limit it to Texas. It's the greatest in the world. but no, getting to go to PV, getting to learn of myself and my culture, and learn who I was. A lot of people from Fort Worth, when they get to Prairie View, because it's 30 minutes from Houston and 30 minutes from College Station, it's right in the middle. Most people end up living their life, making their life in Houston. And not necessarily a bad thing, but, because if you're there for 4 or 5 years getting a degree, that's where you partying. That's where the recruiters come as well to the campus. Right. When they know that, hey, we about to graduate, they want to, offer the jobs. So a lot of people from the Dallas and Fort Worth area make their life over in Houston when it's over with. But I and my brothers who I was able to go to college with understood that if we don't go back and show that this journey happened and that it can be completed and that somebody can come back, then we're going to have that same generational curse we were having where we look up and it's like, who's a success? We don't really know. And the only way we're going to get our success from that point is the way a lot of us was getting it growing up. You look at the TV, there's the rapper, there's the basketball player, and then that's what I got to be.
Football player.
You know what I mean? Instead of seeing somebody come back that's educated, that's raising a family, that's doing the things the right way, that's giving back to the community and letting that be the role model. So it was a pivotal driving force, man, to be able to say that we're going to be those dudes that if we go off and get it, we're going to bring it back to the hood. So you named that about Cinto. Cinto's one of those warriors that do the same thing. He does it with the north side. So he left, got educated, right back to the north side, man. And now he's living over there, family living over there. He's doing good for that community. We had to do the same thing for the east side, man, because now my sons, they know for sure more people with college degrees than people that have been to prison. one generational turn just like that. You
Just
know what I
like
mean?
that.
So, but they getting to do it in the same neighborhoods in which I grew up.
Right.
And so that one generational term is so pivotal. So it's a huge driving force to us, man. That we don't want to be those people that come in and just sprinkle and leave out. We get to go back to our mansion and go sprinkle in the projects real quick. Even though we're not living in the projects, we right there with y'all.
Right.
We live here. We're shopping where you shop, eat where you eat. You're gonna see us on a daily basis. So then I know what your needs are that way as well. So I can really help in the way that you need the help instead of just being, let me come over here and just throw a Band-Aid at you and hope that something sticks. So I feel good about myself that I did some community service or something.
Yeah.
So it really was just a pivotal aspect of being able to say that we got to go back because somebody got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking anybody who did not. If you went off, you out of the hood and you made a success, great. But I know me as a little boy, I needed to see a man come back and say, I went to college.
Right.
This is where I went. This is what I studied. This is how I'm making this money now. This is how I'm driving a nice car or whatever it is. I get to see it tangibly now because growing up, we didn't get to see it hardly ever, man.
Right.
Unless we were looking at TV. And then a lot of times even that had a negative bend to it. So it was just a pivotal driving force, man, to make sure we was coming back to where we were from so it doesn't repeat itself.
That's good. And when you sing, you speak on, actually sing it. I watched the trailer, 76105, Dr. King or Mr. King Won't Rise.
Word.
That there alone just spoke volumes because a lot of times we get stuck on wanting to remember what they did before us, but it's really most important about what's happening right now, who's willing to really take charge and, be a live example. It's easy to say, but who's actually doing where these young guys can actually follow behind your footsteps now? Because now it's all about us being about trailblazers now. It's who's really going to put their foot on the line now to be the front line of the community. So I really commend you guys with that and just being willing to even put that in a documentary form because we can watch documentary of rappers and stuff all day long. But it's a difference when you're actually saying, okay, we have community activists. We have somebody that's a voice for us that's giving us that encouragement to go out and do that on our own. Do you guys partner up with these young men side by side? Community work? Just give us a little bit about that because that trailer, even though it was just 2 minutes, it really inspired me when I watched it. Wow.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
You want to take a little bit of that?
And raising the son myself, too.
So one thing we do is we partner. One thing that's important to us is to embrace existing groups that are already working and have already been working and doing a good job, and not coming in presumptuously thinking we need to start this thing.
Got it. Yeah.
So the one such organization is My Brother's Keeper, which is in particularly the chapters at Dunbar High School and at the Young Men's Leadership Academy in Fort Worth in Stop 6.
Okay.
And so we try to just support what they're doing. There's also this thing called Dads of Dunbar, which is you don't actually have to have a son at Dunbar to be a part of Dads of Dunbar, but it's a thing that we did not start. We just participate in and try to help out as much with that as we can. So organizationally, that's what I'm thinking about we do. And then more, Dante, one of our president, another co-founder, he coaches track.
Okay.
So he has a lot of, and then so it's a lot of it's organic and just kind of relational. But the two things I mentioned are sort of our, I guess, formal, committed things that we like to do.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
And when we're doing any of the work we're doing, when we're doing the community cleanups, we got young people out there, people your son's size. My son is 1 year older than yours.
Wow.
He's out there. His daughter's out there in Ellis. How old now?
3
years old. She's out there.
She's a
That's what I'm
teenager.
talking about.
So we got those young people, like I said, the young brothers from My Brother's Keeper. I mean, like, we got young people, they come out even for community cleanups. We do the movie nights over in the hood at the MLK Center.
Okay.
And that's completely for young people just to come out and enjoy a movie with free popcorn and free drinks and just have a good time in a safe environment. And you're going to see a bunch of people around you that care about you and just having a good time laughing and giving you free drinks and popcorn. And just one of those another night. So, so absolutely, we have the young people right there with us and do that mentoring that we do with My Brother's Keeper. Shout out to Ricky Clark, who's over that for
Mr. Clark.
So he allowed us to adopt 2 of the chapters, and every week we in there kicking game to them. And then, but the important part is learning from them. Because too often as adults, we think because we got the maturity, we got the degrees, we got this and this, that we supposed to always come in and we got to pour into the young people, not knowing those young people are knowledgeable. You know what I mean? They got things that they can teach you if you're willing to shut up and listen for a brief moment.
Just for a second.
What I mean?
Just for a second.
So, so we in there kicking game to them, but a lot of times we walking out of there better than we walked in because of them. So, we right side by side with those young folks.
As a juvenile probation officer, is your day job. How does that impact the way that you deal with the kids in the program?
So, I try not to let it impact nearly in any way. And the reason I'm saying that now is a cop out, but I'm saying because I try to treat my young people who are on juvenile probation just like I would any other young person in the school, whether you're a National Honor Society student or if you locked up in our detention facility for murder. I don't want to treat you any different because the bottom line is, Derek spoke to Faith earlier, faith governs my life as well. If I truly understand that I'm a sinner too, I've made huge mistakes, and I'm only forgiven by grace, who am I to go and pass judgment on the next person? Particularly a young person who may have been in a situation where they did not know any better, or they weren't steered in the proper direction, or they were trying to freestyle and figure something out, and there was no one there to guide them. It's not to exonerate them of everything that they've done, but if you're 13, 14, 15, the kids that me and Frank are dealing with on a daily basis,
every day.
are we really mad at this 14-year-old for what he did? When a 14-year-old, the thing is, if I messed up at 14, my mom was going to go upside my head. I had a consequence that was going to be there.
Exactly.
This 14-year-old may not have had nobody there that was to say this is wrong.
Right.
Because most of the time we dealing with young people that they 14, 15, and the parents are just saying, hey, just stay out of my hair. As long as you leave me alone and don't inconvenience me, go do what you do. Come and go as you please. Stay with so and so, sleep with so and so, do whatever. As long as I don't have to worry about you. Only time I'm mad is when I get a call from the school. Now I'm inconvenienced. You know what I mean? So that's kind of some of the environments they're dealing with. So who am I to be mad at this young person for making a decision based on no information that he could have had? When they need people in their life that's going to be able to give them the proper information to say this is the route you go. And knowing that I only made it because I had people around me saying this is the route that you go. So so answering that question is that I try not to treat any of those young people any differently. When I'm working with the My Brothers Keeper young brothers, if I'm working with the young brothers in the juvenile probation department, I'm trying to treat them all the same, letting them know that I love the shirt y'all got on. You're young kings, you're young queens. You're made of something. You're made in the image of God, like Derek talked about earlier. There's a humanity in you. You have great potential. You matter in this world, and you're going to bring something to this world. If I'm looking at you like that, it don't matter what your transgression is because I got them too. You know what I mean? So
we all got them.
We all got them. You know what I mean? And if I think that the only way I got mine cleansed was through Jesus Christ, is my personal belief, that's the only way they're going to get theirs cleansed. So since I can't do it, they can't do it. Might as well treat them all the same, you know what I mean? But sometimes that's all it really takes is for them to get that love, for someone to treat them with respect. You know what I mean? I see it all the time with Frank. He can't toot his own horn, so I do it since I came on for him. But real talk, and I've seen it happen to him before, and he knows this is truth. We got young people that's locked up in our detention facility at the juvenile probation department. They can be out there cutting the monkey fool, acting up, throwing chairs, cussing folks out. Frank could go back there. Give them 5 minutes with them. The young person is calmed down, apologizing. And it's like, well, what magic is Frank doing? Frank is not doing magic. Frank went back there and treated that young person with respect.
Exactly.
That's all it was. And, same thing I was doing at the JJP, same thing I'm doing now with my young people on some caseload. Our philosophy is just treat them with respect. Treat them like a human being. Talk to them.
Not an
say, hey, you got all that out now? Hey, let's calm down. Let's act like what you're supposed to act. Let me model for you how it's supposed to act. And it's amazing how it transforms. So I'm trying to treat those young people with a moniker of respect, the same way I would do it, whether they're in the juvenile probation department or whether they about to be the next president.
Exactly.
Now, community frontline is broken down into units.
Yeah, so it originally was broken down into units, but now we really go by our 4 pillars, and Derek is the guru of our pillars, so he knows all the shit.
Come on, Derek. What you got, Derek?
He really the one that created the pillars for the most part. But yeah, we got 4 pillars that we really operate in now that kind of funnels all of our work through. So, but yeah, Derek, you can talk about the pillars.
Okay. So the units he was talking about, they came from the initial meeting we had, which was a bunch of guys showed up, like 70-something guys showed up at the first one, and we brainstormed on a whiteboard, and we walked away with these units. That's what that was.
Wow.
Anyway, we restructured and kind of refocused, and our 4 areas that we focus on are racial justice and solidarity, racial reconciliation. The second one, some people conflate, but it's really distinct, is the police-community relationship. There's an accountability component to that. The third is mentoring. We talked about that a little minute ago. And then the fourth is community beautification. So we do our cleanups, or we've been working on a while to do a mural. And hopefully that'll become an economic development thing, but right now it's just pretty much beautifying the community. It's not really economic development yet.
So can you volunteer for just a specific pillar? Like if that's what you're passionate
Right.
about.
Absolutely. So I mean,
Okay.
the way we do is really what we do is there's no real membership with Frontline.
Okay.
Y'all all Frontline
Open
right now.
forum. Right.
Because the way
right,
it goes
right.
is that we put out everything that we're doing, and whatever it is that fits into your schedule, something that you feel like, oh, you know what, I help out well in that situation.
Mhm.
That's what we want you to come to. Because one of the things we were running into is that we were trying to do everything ourselves, trying to be Superman and put the cape on, and yet our own lives would be, we can't work the way we're supposed to do on our professional jobs. Our kids are lacking because daddy's not there and he's trying to do everything. Our wives are not happy because we're always gone.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? How about we just all come together and tackle things together? That way, all the burden is not just on Derek, or not just on Q or Dante or Frank or any of us.
Right.
That is spread out amongst everybody. That when we're doing it, anybody who has the opportunity can come and help out. So, like when we do the community cleanup, you might be like, "Oh, that's the thing I really want to do. I can give a
Right.
Saturday morning to do that."
Right.
You just come out, grab a trash bag, let's go. And it really is as simple as that. It
Okay.
takes away all the middleman, all the red tape. If you care, just come do it. And that's
Right.
all we want it to be
That's
about.
that.
Right.
So yeah, really try to eliminate all the other.
Man, listen, there's so much to get into, man.
Right.
So much to get into. It's time to end the first segment. We're gonna take a little break. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna wet our whistles and get our thoughts together. But we're about to end this first segment, and we will be back very, very soon with the community Frontline in the building, Mr. Q, Mr. Derek. We're gonna talk a little bit more about what the great things they're doing for the community and for the young people in different neighborhoods, especially starting with Stop 6.
Yes.
We will be back.